Welcome back to Cinema Scrutiny podcast. I'm your host Billy, always with my co-host John.
Good to be here.
Yep. Number 30. Big number.
Hmm.
We're still moving along here. We're moving along and we're getting to new places. It's gonna be cool. Um I don't know. I'm rambling. I'm rambling in this intro. But we have a short list of news this week. Nothing too crazy. Um and I think we have an interesting topic about reboots. Because
Yeah,
I
I
feel
definitely agree. I think it's I was just thinking about some reboots that we'll talk about at the end last night, and I think that it's actually like a very worthwhile discussion to have.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a talk that a lot of people have, whether you're like an avid movie fan or just kind of like a casual moviegoer. You see these reboots, and it's pretty common practice these days. But
Mm.
you know, it should be interesting. But first, as always, we're gonna cover some news that happened this week. Um, and I guess just to start, just jump right into it. We have some little bit of Fantastic Four rumors slash updates. If you guys remember, the Disney Investor Day happened a couple months back. We got all these announcements. They announced Fantastic Four movies coming, um, but it seemed like it was pretty early on in development. Um, and in this past week, we've had some rumors about Jennifer Lawrence is joining the cast, which immediately jumps to the assumption she's going to be Sue Storm. Um, and then I believe a reporter from Deadline, Justin Kroll, jumped out. Uh, he probably did some digging behind the scenes and said that Marvel's just getting together the writers team right now for Fantastic Four.
Mm.
So there's no script, and it's going to be a while before filming starts. Um, Now, I believe him. I'm sure that's true because the movie just got announced like 2 months ago. Um, I can't imagine it's too far along, but I think I don't know. I think I don't think it's like far off to say that uh Jennifer Lawrence could be cast, you know?
Yeah, it's fair. I think it's probably a little too early to start casting before you even have the script, just
Yeah.
because you don't know what you're even looking for in the actor yet.
Yeah.
That's just me personally. I mean, I think I also don't really want her to be Sue Storm. I want Emily Blunt and John Krasinski like everyone else does.
Right, the big fan cast.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like everyone's trying to jump the gun on these Marvel rumors recently, especially just ever since Endgame like ended the whole thing.
Yeah. Sure.
Like I was seeing rumors earlier this week that Big Hero 6 was going to become live action and join the MCU.
Yeah, I
And
saw that.
yeah, they shot that down earlier today as well. I thought it was pretty kind of far fetched, so I didn't really think it was going to go anywhere. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
I wouldn't have enjoyed that either, but
yeah.
go ahead.
But this, I mean, for a reporter, I guess it's very like truthful. I think a lot of people did think that the Fantastic Four casting was much further along. Like everyone thinks Reed Richards is going to show up in, WandaVision for some reason, but I'm pretty sure he's not.
Yeah,
So
probably not. I think well, I won't give any spoilers away, but I think that ship has sailed
yeah,
as far as him showing up. But I don't know. I mean, I think it. I don't think anyone's been cast, honestly. But if someone were to be cast, I feel like it'd be Reed Richards. You know what I mean? Just because it he makes the most sense to show up first.
yeah,
You know. Um, but who knows? Who knows? It wouldn't surprise me if they're looking at Jennifer Lawrence uh, as like a potential casting member.
mm,
I saw someone make some comments about her being cast as Sue Storm, and people immediately jumped to her Mystique role in
yeah,
X-Men and how she's kind of been like outlawed by the fan base to a certain extent just because she kind of rejected the character in a certain way and she made it her own. And by that I mean she didn't want to put on like the makeup every day and
mm,
uh, didn't want to go through that whole process, which is understandable. It's a lot. Um, but I don't think the fans in the long run really like appreciated that depiction, I guess.
Yeah, it was just kind of like it felt like she was fighting against it and didn't really want to do it, but was contractually obligated to finish those movies.
Right.
Which makes me think like, why would she jump into another, what would definitely be a violently long term contract, like at least 5 films to start,
Right.
possibly even 10. Like they just do crazy deals.
I think I mean, to be honest, from an actor perspective, you know, it could be fruitful to jump into a contract like that, and not to mention because it just guarantees work, right?
Yeah,
But for someone like Jennifer Lawrence, she's already gonna be guaranteed a big paycheck because she's an A-list, I
yeah.
would
I was
say.
about to say I don't think she needs like the contract.
Right. She doesn't really need it, but it's really just like guaranteed work, which is always nice as an actor.
Mm,
And I guess if it's Sue Storm, then like she doesn't have to go through like crazy prosthetics or makeup or anything. She just has to probably get the CGI dots on for like when they do special effects shots and whatnot.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I still think this is even weird with like, I don't know. There's some. Nah, I'm not gonna go into spoilers, but there's some stuff in WandaVision which I'm sure everybody's seen. But if you're not, skip ahead to our next topic. But like, given the events that happen in that TV show, if they turn out to be true, I think it would be a terrible idea to cast another like big X-Men actor in a completely different role
mm,
that soon, if that makes
that's
sense.
true. That's also a good point.
Like I feel like it's already confusing enough for a mainstream audience, and then to just completely like rip it apart.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, definitely. No, I know what you mean. I mean, to be honest, I also would prefer Emily Blunt, just overall,
Mm.
and John Krasinski as well. Maybe even Charlize Theron could be interesting.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, if they're just getting into the writing stages, then like we're not going to hear anything for like I can't even imagine like 8 9 months from now. Like
Yeah.
it's really just going to be speculation, and you know, uh, for some reason I feel like they're not going to do the fan casting, just because I feel like they haven't done that before.
Yeah.
I know Feige likes to go for like his own picks and whatnot,
Mm.
so I guess we'll see what happens. But you know,
Yeah.
we can only hope. We can only hope. Um, but that being said, uh, we do have some more. We do have a movie that's coming a lot sooner. We got a trailer for this week. Great segue. Um, we got the Mortal Kombat trailer this past week. I think it came out the day after we filmed last week or recorded,
Yeah.
I should say. But I'll be honest, I didn't forget about this movie, but I had no expectations leading into this trailer, leading up to this movie's release. I didn't even know it was coming out so soon. I thought it'd be
Yeah.
like towards the end of the year.
It was definitely something that I kind of put to the side, and then
Yeah,
even more so to hear that it's like one of those HBO Max movies.
right, right.
That was completely off my radar. I feel like everyone was more on the Tom and Jerry / Godzilla versus King Kong thing.
Yeah, they definitely have like a good front load for their HBO Max roster right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember seeing the Mortal Kombat thing in the initial HBO release.
Yeah.
Of all the movies they're going to put out. But again, just like you said, I kind of put it off to the side. Um, but this trailer, I felt like was really, it kind of sparked my interest into what this is going to be.
Yeah, I agree. It's like
Um,
very surprising for a video game movie where it actually looks
right.
kind of interesting.
I think I'm trying to think, there was a Mortal Kombat, there's been Mortal Kombat movies that have come out before, live action
Yeah.
uh,
Terrible,
iterations. So,
terrible, terrible ones.
yeah, so like that's why I wasn't interested at all. I was like, they're just going to do another bad one. With this one, I was like, this looks sick.
Mm.
And like, all the actors seem to like be fitting really well into their roles. Um, the action looks sick. My one gripe that I noticed, like, other than like the Sub-Zero and Scorpion fight,
Mm.
I felt like all the scenes were like really like dark. like very like I don't want to say poorly. Maybe it was poorly lit. Maybe I'm being too nice, but it, it just seemed so dark. So
Sure.
I was like, I wish I could see more of like what's happening, but the whole Scorpion and Sub-Zero thing looks sick. That part where he like made the blood icicle from like
Yes.
stabbing him. That was sick.
That
That was
was
so
really
cool.
fucking cool. I think that one of the the key things if you're going to do the Mortal Kombat movie is you got to be able to figure out the really fucked up, crazy mortal or fatality shit,
Yeah,
and turning somebody's own blood spewing out of their fucking severed hand or whatever into an ice pick and then killing them. It's pretty fucking sick.
pretty badass.
Yeah, I would
Um,
definitely be like talking to the video game team heavily. Be like, how do you guys
Definitely,
come up with this fucked up bullshit? Can I take some notes?
especially the who's the studio that makes the Mortal Kombat games right now?
I don't know the specific name of the studio. I can look it up, but it's Warner Brothers owns the studio.
Right, they make Injustice though too. But
Yes. Yes.
the
They do
past
it.
like all I can remember is like the past like they've done the last like 2 or 3 like Mortal Kombat games. I would 100% be talking to them as like a film studio and
Mhm.
like just to like talk about combat scenes and like story wise like they're on
Yeah.
top of their shit. They're really good.
Yeah, I agree. It's NetherRealm Studio, by the way.
There you go.
Yeah, and
Um,
I honestly 100% agree with what you're saying there. Like some of their storytelling is surprisingly amazing, not
yeah,
only for fighting games, which are, that's a very low bar,
yeah,
but like just gaming in general. Like they're doing crazy stuff, like Mortal Kombat 10, Injustice 1 and 2, like
yep,
amazing stuff.
yeah, 100%. Um, did you think? I don't. I'm kind of on the fence about this, but towards the end of the trailer, they did the whole like finish him type. They did all the. They basically like
Yeah,
blew
they
their
said
load
the
on all the
things.
lines, the iconic lines. They said all the things in the trailer, and I was kind of like, is it too much? Or maybe it was just too much back to back. I don't know.
Yeah, if
But like,
it's
what did
spread
you
out
think?
throughout the movie, it can probably do okay. I think it's one of the pitfalls of making a game film or
Yeah, it's
making
like
a
you got to hit
film
through the
about
tropes.
making a film about anything really. Like there's like iconic moments in those things, even in
Right.
reboots. We'll talk about it later. But like when you're taking like another form of media, there's already these iconic parts of it. Especially with video games, like every video game movie is like, oh, let's do a first person action sequence. And like nobody actually wants to see that. But it's like the HUD is iconic or like the general vibe is iconic. And they try
Yeah,
to copy it. Yeah, I don't know. That, yeah. They're trying. I think it wasn't as bad. There's still some other cheesy things in this in general.
sure.
Like the main character's name is Cole. He's like, he's talking about his birthmark, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is just a birthmark. Like it's totally normal, but it's literally like it's a very clear picture of a dragon, bro."
It's the
Like,
Mortal Kombat logo.
yeah, and
Yeah,
like, granted, Mortal Kombat logo doesn't exist in their universe, and like I get it that that's like the point of the logo. But
yeah,
like, if you have a fucking birthmark and it's very much like it's not just a thing. Like, it's like a coincidence. That looks like Antarctica, which is just a fucking circle anyway. It's like, nah, bro. Somebody drew a dragon and put it on your fucking head. Like, idiots, idiots.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I'm the
I
chosen
agree.
one.
There's definitely some
Cringe.
cheesy stuff. There's definitely some cheesy stuff, and I'm not saying like this is gonna be amazing. I just think that I was impressed because I really was. It was like a very low bar to no expectation whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree. I
So
think this movie just has like everything fighting against it. Like
sure,
we're
I mean
talking
like
about video game movies, we're talking about a cast that from the trailer alone is already like 10 people, like 10 iconic people.
yeah,
You know what I
yep,
mean? And like big casts suck. Everyone has suit like Mortal Kombat's fucking weird, right? Like it's a game where the game comes first, the story comes second. There's
yep.
some weird motherfuckers. Like there's forearms in there and fucking Sub
Yeah, they got that
Zero
guy in
and
here too. The big like forearm monster dude.
yeah,
Like
it's all
he's in the
whack.
movie. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. I'm interested. I think the combat and action scenes might carry it,
Mm.
but that's okay. If that's the case, that's okay. I'll be all right with it. It'll
Yeah.
be a fun, entertaining watch. But we'll see what happens. It's only like 2, 3 months away.
Yeah, it's coming out March, May.
I want to say May, maybe
Okay.
April.
Hold up,
I
hold
don't know.
up. We have the day. We have the day somewhere on here. We're not going to leave. April 16th. There we go.
There you go. So month and a half. It's not bad.
Yeah.
We'll have Kong and Snyder Cut. We've got plenty of stuff lined up on HBO Max. We're
Mm.
good. But speaking of upcoming content and possibly rebooted content, the overarching theme of this episode here, we just got, or Marvel just got this week, the rights back to Jessica Jones and the Punisher from Netflix.
Mm.
Uh, so the Netflix shows were canceled like 2 years ago. All of the Marvel Netflix shows, and I found the Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist rights went back a while ago. I
Yep.
want to say like a year ago, maybe a little bit more. But they just got back the Jessica Jones and Punisher ones. And this was trending for a little while. The day that this news came out, I remember I saw it. Specifically Jessica Jones, which I was really surprised about, because I feel like the second season like really flew under the radar for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
aren't there 3 Jessica Jones seasons?
is it 3 seasons?
I
Yeah,
think so. I mean, I could be wrong.
I don't know. Uh, I only specifically remember the first season, and I saw a few episodes of the second. Um, but she's a cool character. Don't get me wrong. But she has a bigger fan base than I expected, and not to mention John Bernthal's Punisher. I think is probably the best Punisher we ever got in live action.
Yeah. Jessica Jones did run for 3 seasons, by the way.
Rip. My
Yeah.
apologies for not watching the third season. I definitely didn't.
Well, it's because what happened, like the reason that these are like staggered announcements between like Daredevil and this is that they had already made the 3rd season and they had
Yeah.
already announced the cancellation of all the other shows. And then they waited like the 4 months until this show came out. And then like a week after,
Right.
they canceled it.
I remember that.
And they
I
did
remember
the same
leading
thing
up
with
to
The
it.
Punisher.
Right.
Like they waited for season 2, which, also, if we're being honest, was kind of lackluster in comparison to season 1.
Sure, and it
They
definitely flew
dropped
under
it.
the radar. Probably, it's all a product of people kind of already knew it was going to get canceled. It just
Yeah.
wasn't said verbally. But I don't think that diminishes these characters. I think that this little Netflix like world that they built, even if it was, you know, more headed by Netflix,
Hmm.
they did a really good job, and there's a lot of people who really enjoy it. Even like I mean, we were fans, of course. Like even Iron Fist, like I think everybody would call that the weakest of those shows.
Hmm.
I even enjoyed the Iron Fist stuff. I was like into it, even
Yeah, I
though I
agree.
knew it was the weakest link. I was still like all about like what was going on there. Um, but I don't know. Do you think they're gonna continue any of this stuff on Disney Plus? Do you think that we're gonna get a reboot? I don't even know.
I don't think so. I think this is their time to just sunset themselves. I mean,
Maybe. I
I
feel like having John Bernthal as the Punisher is something I would not want to let go of.
so I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. The Punisher, 100% dead, done.
He's probably not coming back.
Like John
He's
Bernthal's
too
cool,
much.
but yeah, like the political nonsense that's going on, and especially with Disney now, retaining full control, and these like bad actors kind of adopting the Punisher. Even when the Punisher like actively fights against them, like they just don't get it.
Yeah,
But like whatever, optics are a lot, right? And I
sure.
think that if they genuinely tried to bring back the Punisher, uh, it's a no. Like there's too much. There's too much risk. It's a big no. Jessica Jones, I think, has potential to come back. I think that the story in Jessica Jones is the most mature what's the word I'm looking for? Context, I guess, out of all of the stuff they would have done so far.
Sure.
And granted, like season one of Jessica Jones specifically, and the whole Killgrave thing is
Yes.
like very like there's a lot of adult subjects in that, and even in the second season. So I don't know if they would ever bring her back in the same way, but if they didn't, would people be angry that they brought her back like half-assed? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if they watered it down for some reason. And granted, if Deadpool does well and still maintains its R rating and Blade does its R rating thing,
Yeah.
then maybe there's like room to like tell these stories. Do I think it would make it into the greater MCU? Probably not. Like even
Yeah.
though they
I
say
mean,
Deadpool's going to be in
I
the
don't know.
MCU, I think he probably never will actually have a crossover moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think that they were talking about making some kind of like separate sector on Disney Plus
Yeah,
for
for
all
like
this,
more
like,
adult content.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but I
I
don't,
think these are good. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I think uh, it might play out with the whole um, Daredevil thing going
Mm-hmm.
on with Spider-Man. But of course, we're not going to know anything about that until that comes out. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of follow the lead on however that is received.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's something really small and like, just a quick scene, or whether it's a little bit more extensive. Who knows? Um, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind having these actors come back with these characters. They're already a little bit developed. They already have a little bit of a base.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
You could spin like a multiverse thing on it and give them like completely different attitudes and directions.
sure. Yeah, you definitely could.
For sure.
Um, but who knows? I guess we'll follow along and see what happens.
Mm.
Um, but I guess. Oh, well. Speaking of Netflix, we just got a new Netflix show announced, um, which I didn't even know about. I learned this from you, John,
Yeah.
sharing this today. But it looks like Tim Burton signed his first TV show deal with Netflix, and he's going to make a Wednesday Addams TV show. And this is like the character's first like solo uh, story or rendition. I don't think any of the Adams family have ever gotten a solo spin-off.
I feel like Wednesday might have.
Maybe,
I don't
maybe.
remember. I know she does a lot of stuff with Scooby Doo.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they
I
have
mean, the whole
crossed over
Adams
before.
family does, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely happened before. But
Mm.
I think this is like totally up Tim Burton's alley. Like,
Yeah, this is brilliant.
I mean, the whole like the poster image that they released with it is real nice. I immediately thought of like Coraline.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's another one that Tim Burton did that I can't remember. That was kind of similar to this.
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, definitely. Um, but I think that this is gonna be good. I mean, Tim Burton. You know, I remember as a kid watching Tim Burton stuff. And I didn't really like that much, probably because I wasn't like a big horror fan. Not that his stuff is like horror, but like it has like horror elements to it.
It's
It's like a
just,
gothic theme.
yeah, it's just like unique. It's like this weird, like light horror motif for like a dark
Right.
theme. I don't even know.
But as I've gotten older, I've grown to enjoy it and respect it because there's literally nobody else that does it like Tim Burton. So
Mm-hmm.
um, it's exciting. It's exciting to see that he's gonna get his own like rendition of this popular character. So
Yeah, I agree.
um,
I think I'm excited just to see him move to television because this
yeah,
is
that's true
actually going to be his
too.
first TV show.
That's a good point. I mean, I feel like this wouldn't be a long show, but who knows? I could be wrong.
Yeah, my guess is they probably keep it pretty short. Maybe do like a limited type of thing because I feel like committing Tim Burton to a bunch of seasons of something could be weird.
Hmm.
But obviously, the Adams Family is very Tim Burton. Just to list off a couple of Tim Burton films, if any of them hit your memory: Edward Scissorhands, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Beetlejuice, Corpse Bride, Batman. That one time.
Both times. Batman Returns as well.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland, Sweeney Todd, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Frank and Weenie, which is kind of like
And
Coraline.
Weenie.
It's like the same vibe.
Yeah.
The Planet of the Apes movie I was talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, like yeah,
He's got
Batman
he's got
Forever.
a strong resume.
Yeah, he's got a style. Like all those movies, you feel it. You're like, yep, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. And then to think he almost did Superman as well.
Yeah,
Um, Now this is also going to be live action, which I think is kind of interesting. I feel like I
yeah,
was
I'm
ready to
excited.
like the poster suggests it's going to be like animation.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. This could be. I feel like it's definitely going to capture that like Edward Scissorhands type of look. You know?
Yeah, I think the reason they're going with this drawn out thing right now is because they probably don't have anything.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just like announcing it.
Yeah. Probably.
But that means we could probably assume Helena Bottom Carter is going to be in it,
Yeah. True.
and that's going to be lit because she's a great actor.
It's
Love
true.
to see her in pretty much everything. She's really good
I
in The
agree.
Crown right now, which is they're on season 3 or 4 or
She's
whatever.
in the latest season, right?
Yeah, yeah, she plays Princess Margaret, like the adult version.
She's great.
Yeah,
She's
brilliant
really good.
actress. I'm actually once ago I was talking to my girlfriend about Harry Potter last night,
Hmm.
and just like remembering her as Lestrange, as
Yeah.
Bellatrix Lestrange. Good shit.
She's, she's crazy in that movie.
Yeah, makes me want to watch the later ones because I feel like I always just like in my mind I only remember the Sorcerer's Stone because it and like
Yeah.
whatever the one with Pattinson in it, the Goblet of Fire.
Yeah. It's the fourth one. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one a lot too, just because I like tournaments and I don't know.
Yeah.
Dumbledore's like, "What the fuck did you do?" He's fucking pissed. But yeah, I always forget the Bellatrix ones. Like everything after that just kind of blends together, and then Voldemort explodes or whatever.
I think she shows up in the fifth one. I think that's her first appearance.
Yeah, she
Um,
definitely deals a lot more with like Sirius and the adults and shit.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the Harry Potter movies is a fun arc because like, well, I guess fun. It's more of like a dark arc. It gets crazy. Like
Yeah, it's too long.
every movie, it progressively gets like deeper and darker. And I remember as the movies were coming out, I remember like film critics were talking about it, and they were like, "This is so much darker." Like every time the next movie came out,
Hundred
and it's
percent.
like, but that's also like a product of the books too. Like the books were the same way.
Yeah.
Like the world's just getting crazier and crazier. So I don't know, fun stuff.
Hmm.
It was cool, but yeah, I don't know. This is gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
can't remember the last thing Tim Burton put out. Um,
I gotta reopen my file. It was probably
who knows?
Frankenweenie.
No way. That was so long ago.
I don't even remember Tim
Frankenweenie.
Burton.
I forgot about that movie. Honestly,
Yeah, it
I
didn't
don't even
really
remember.
do too well. Did he direct Dumbo?
Oh, he did.
He
That's
did.
true.
Look
That
at
was definitely
that.
the
A
last
big
project.
fucking stinker.
Sad.
That's tough.
That was for Disney.
Hmm.
Interesting choice, Disney. Interesting choice. Didn't look like a Disney movie, honestly.
Didn't look like a Tim Burton movie either.
A little bit. I mean, I believed it.
Hmm.
You know, I saw it, but I didn't see it actually, but like I saw the Tim Burton look to it. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, we'll talk about it later, but both of Tim Burton's reboots, he also did Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
The Planet of the Apes one definitely does not have a Tim Burton vibe at all.
Yeah,
But
that's
that
true.
was
The
much
90s.
more paint by numbers or whatever. It was like 2000.
Yeah,
But also, we'll talk about it later. I have a funny story with that movie.
sure.
But yeah.
Well, I guess speaking of movie deals and new shows, we talked last week a little bit about Donald Glover's show coming up
Hmm.
uh, about Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I think this news came out also like the day after we recorded last week,
Yeah, it might have
or
come out even
maybe
like just after we finished recording.
yeah. It looks like Amazon announced that they signed like a big deal with Donald Glover to he's gonna get like his own like sector of Amazon Prime
Hmm.
basically, where he gets to like produce shows under like his banner. And this doesn't include like his FX deal has like nothing to do with any of this. As far as we know, like Atlanta is not coming over to Amazon.
Hmm.
That's still strictly under FX. You know, people are still waiting on season 3 and 4 of Atlanta, which seems to be held up by the pandemic. But you know that's just another thing that you know he's always been working on. But this, you know, it looks like his next chapter of like creating his own stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and they're talking about a show. It's like based off Beyonce. It's called The Hive or something, which
Mm-hmm.
is like Beyonce's fan base is like the Beehive, you know. And they also said another big point on this, like uh, Malia Obama, which is like the Obama's like oldest daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She joined the writers' room for that show. So pretty big name, but like more of like a rookie in Hollywood, I guess you could say. Even though
Yeah.
she's been on a couple productions and whatnot. But
Yeah, she's been doing a lot of interning
yeah,
on
yeah.
some
So it
bigger
looks like she's
productions.
finally breaking her way into you know into writers' rooms and stuff, which is it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to see. And I don't know. I think Donald Glover deserves this. You know, he's like we've always praised Donald Glover, and we talked about it last week too. Um, I always want to see new stuff from him, whether
Yeah.
he's acting or directing or writing, producing, whatever, like music wise, all of it.
Yeah, I mean, Guava Island, which is like his Amazon Prime original,
Yeah,
is also great. And I assume that, it's just a steady conversation between putting it out on Amazon and then signing up on the Mr. and Mrs. Smith thing. And, it sounds like Amazon Prime has been trying to like really grow its like kind of homebrew content, I guess.
yeah, sure.
And giving Donald Glover just like a vast kind of subsection to work with, I think is a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely one of like the I don't want to say an upcoming talent. He's just like he has a strong fan base of people that follow him.
Yeah.
Um, and like I think we talked about it last week with this story about Amazon kind of people kind of forget about it, or like you don't really see the Prime Video section a lot. So it kind of does need a little bit more of a swing of attention in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
Even though they have like all these award-winning shows and like they're very popular, it's just it's nice to have another big name, not just attached to like a single property,
Yeah.
but now taking up an entire sector of content being released.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah, so it's cool stuff. Um, should be interesting. I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna watch all of it. Um, but that pretty much wraps up our news for the week. So we can jump just right into our discussion topic this week, which is
Yeah.
the premises are reboots worth it in Hollywood. Just the overarching conversation of you know is rebooting franchises a good idea? Is it too oversaturated of a market to be tapping into?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some reboot franchises and if they worked, if they didn't, what worked about them, what didn't work about them, all that fun stuff. So I'll hand it over to you, John, to kick us off here.
Okay. I guess I will start by talking about the Planet of the Apes reboot
Sure.
that I was talking about last night for totally unrelated reasons. I can't remember why.
Mhm.
Um, but so Planet of the Apes originally came out in 1967, I'm going to say.
Sure.
And obviously, or not obviously, but if you didn't know, it's been rebooted twice since then.
Hmm.
What I didn't know is that I thought it was rebooted actually 3 times. The original run of Planet of the Apes was 5 back-to-back movies over 5 years, which is insane. And some of those are genuinely good. Like I actually really enjoy some of those movies.
They're definitely iconic for
Yeah.
sure.
Like they go to the Planet of the Apes, and then a couple apes go back to the Planet of the People, and the Planet of the People go back to the Planet of the Apes. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also the actual first reboot is Tim Burton's 2001 Planet of the Apes with Paul Giamatti as an ape and Mark Wahlberg is the main guy.
Yeah.
And same story. And then the newest Planet of the Apes with like James Franco and that other guy.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman's in it?
He's in the second one.
I mean, I don't doubt you.
I think it's like a different like A-list actor for each one. So it's like
Yeah.
James Franco.
Andy Serkis is the monkey.
Yeah, Andy Serkis is the main monkey.
Seamos.
Woody Harrelson's in the third.
That's who I was thinking of. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So like that's obviously the second incarnation. which I don't think needed to happen, but apparently people like those.
They're pretty good. I
Yeah,
watched.
the 2001 version, I just think is so fucking funny, and I'm totally gonna spoil this fucking movie because it's so stupid.
See, that's one. It's okay.
Yeah, don't. I mean, yeah, don't watch it because it takes itself super seriously, and I was crying telling this story last night because it's so fucking funny, and it's that. And this is why you shouldn't. This is like the bad way to do a reboot. So I guess I'll put it in context. Back to the original thing I said earlier in the episode. One of the big things about doing these reboots is whenever you reboot something, you're always expected to follow very similar beats, if that makes sense. Like there's like these iconic moments, like Batman's parents getting shot. Like you got to do it for some reason.
Always gotta see it.
Yeah, and for Planet of the Apes, in this case, it is, or I guess in Star Wars' case, you blow up something really big. So in Planet of the Apes, the climactic thing of the very first film is that they don't actually tell you it's Earth until the very end. It's spoilers for 1965 or whatever the fuck. And you don't find out it's like actual Earth until the end when they're walking along the beach, and then famous actor that I don't remember who exactly it is sees the Statue of Liberty, and he freaks out and he goes, ah! He's like, "Damn you!" It's really bad acting.
It's pretty rough.
It's tough, but like the point is, it's like this big surprise event. Like, oh my god, he's been on Earth the whole time, or he's still on Earth. And Tim Burton's version of that is, so Mark Wahlberg, he does his thing, and then he gets sent back into space and back through the wormhole, and he thinks he's going back to like his planet, right? He's going back to Earth.
Yeah.
And he's coming down, he's crashing through the atmosphere. He gets flanked by two F-16 fighter jets, and they're like, "You're entering DC airspace. You need to land."
I remember this.
And he's like, "I'm crashing, I can't." And he crashes and he hits the top of the Washington Monument, and he like crashes through the reflection pool, and he ends up at the Lincoln Memorial on like the steps. And as he gets out, you see him get like surrounded by squad cars, but they're all wearing like helmets for some reason, so you can't see the faces. And then it pans to the fucking statue, and it's Ape Lincoln.
I remember this. He turns around. He's like, "It's like, oh my god!"
And it's like literally a giant Abraham Lincoln statue, but he has like ape face.
Yeah,
and it's just,
yeah.
I was crying so hard last night. Thinking, I'm literally crying right now because it's so fucking stupid. Because not only like I get it, like he wants to be like he's still on the gorilla planet. It's been that the whole time. It's just like a time thing. But like to take the play on words, like Abe Lincoln, Ape Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid.
No, definitely, and it's also funny because he looks like he has like the haircut of Abe Lincoln.
Oh, he's got the fucking suit.
Yeah, he's got the suit, and like his hair is the same, but his face is like monkey, and it's like, oh my god.
It's so violent. The whole thing is so fucked up. It's just so anyway.
Man.
That's one of the instances, and that's just a tangent because that's a funny story. About why we shouldn't be doing this. But because the thing about nailing that iconic moment is that it's like the thing that made the film in a lot of cases, I guess.
Sure.
Or like you feel like you need to retread certain aspects of it. I'm trying to think of like another film with like a very like central climactic point that you have to hit. A lot of them end up just hitting the same like origin story beats.
Yeah.
That's where like 99% of our I guess James Bond is like, even though it's not a reboot, like James Bond always hits the same kind of like structure.
It's the same structure to like each of the movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
like you need a couple
it's
of
the same
Bond girls.
Conversation you have about like Batman's parents or Uncle Ben and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Except
like James Bond isn't even really like super reboot. It's almost like it's like a continuation, but it's like it very much sticks to like we got to do like these things.
It's like a soft reboot / like different iteration
Yeah, it's true.
uh, with like a new series on it,
Mm.
and I think that's kind of why um, James Bond continues to work because no matter who the actor's been, they still catch the same vibe that they make all the movies with.
Yeah, that's true.
But they all have their own kind of uh, I don't want to. They have their own kind of swagger to them in a certain way.
Yeah, they all
Like
got like a unique spin on it.
yeah, like Daniel Craig is totally different from Sean Connery. Like
Mm.
Sean Connery's doing judo and drinking and like rolling around on the floor. And Daniel Craig is like smashing the sink over your head.
Yeah,
Like
Daniel Craig has PTSD for sure.
yeah, I mean it's just like, but it's still the same, you know, on a overarching level.
Yeah,
Of
if you
with
just like
Craig.
took the emotions out of it, it's like very much the same film.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I mean?
mean
Like
like
if you just distill it.
if you want to talk about bad reboots, you could talk about the Hellboy from 2019.
Mm.
Um, you could talk about oh, what was that? What was it? Um, it's slipping my mind now.
Anywhere on the list?
I mean, I'm looking at the list, but I mean,
Okay.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles wasn't very good.
No, that was a
Uh,
bad reboot.
I mean, I feel like the Power Rangers thing that they did a few years back
Hmm.
wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't had a chance to see it. I keep hearing from people that it's actually underrated.
yeah, it's the Saigon one. I think that's who made it. I don't
Hmm.
know. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, I mean, there's a
yeah,
there's a bunch of great reboots on this list too.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. I like Dread. Like Dread is a great reboot,
Hmm.
and I think that's a product of the technology catching up with what they wanted to do.
Yeah,
You know,
Carl Urban killing it.
that too. Yeah, like that's like I don't want to say an iconic role for Carl Urban, but it's a cult classic for Carl Urban for sure.
Yeah, I would
Like
say it's his most iconic like leading role. Because I'm
probably.
trying to like obviously his most iconic role comes from a different reboot. Comes from him playing Bones or Dr. McCoy on Star Trek.
Right, right.
Those movies I think were ended up being really good, even though some people don't like them. I think I don't know. I believe I said it last week, and I don't remember why. But we were talking about you know you know what? Fuck. What were we talking about last week? I don't remember.
Topic was.
Oh, we were talking about yeah. You know what the point was? It was better to risk like redoing something or risk adding more content to a series.
Yeah.
And I think that like the question, right? Are reboots worth it? I think is ultimately yes, because even if they suck, which a lot of them end up doing, it's unfortunate.
Yes.
I do think that it is worth the attempt because just looking at this list, there are some amazing reboots of things that have even happened like super recently, right? Like the difference between the 2001 reboot of Planet of the Apes and the original Planet of the Apes is 40 years.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of time. But then we look at Amazing Spider-Man versus the Tom Holland Spider-Mans. It's
Yeah.
like 10 years tops. I doubt even 10 years.
Not even.
Yeah.
Maybe four,
Yeah.
4 to 6.
And
Yeah.
like that, I don't think anyone would consider the Tom Holland movies to be a mistake in any way. Like those Spider-Man films are amazing. Mad Max, Fury Road, Man of Steel. I'm just killing the list right now. Casino Royale 2006, which is actually a remake of the 2000 or the 1960 something Casino Royale James Bond.
Yeah.
Bumblebee rebooting the fucking Transformers universe. I
True.
love Bumblebee. Great film.
Batman Begins.
Great film.
Fantastic film.
Yeah.
Started
Fantastic
an
Four.
iconic franchise.
Not a great film.
Yeah. Well,
Fan
they've
Four
always
stick.
dropped the ball on Fantastic Four, unfortunately.
I mean, I like the original one with
I like both of the
whatever.
original ones.
Yeah, Silver Surfer was good. The new one's just whack. The new one was not good.
I didn't even watch the newest one. I heard too
It
many
was,
bad things.
it was no good. No good.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like, I think it's worth it to give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention, you know, I understand the concept of why they do it. You know, it goes back to there's already a fan base there. There's people there who enjoyed that. Let's give it another shot. And I think the premise always is let's do it again but let's do it a little different. Let's put a different kind of twist on it. And I think that's kind of like the shtick that people go with.
Yeah.
And it's either gonna fall flat on its face, or it's gonna be something totally new and different, and people are gonna really like that.
Yeah. I mean, I
Like
think
with
that,
Batman Begins,
yeah.
like people, Batman before Batman Begins, the last live action Batman movie people saw was Batman and Robin, and that is the height of superhero campiness in a movie that I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, the nipples were on the suit.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever be back to that ever again. For good reasons. Um, but to take it from that and bring it to hyper realistic Christopher Nolan type of a world, like it was iconic. It became its own iconic thing, and
Yeah.
then the sequel turned into a Hollywood classic. So
Yeah, I
you know,
agree. I mean, I think that the way, like, a lot of people can be very critical of it in the sense that they don't feel like reboots are original. They want to see original content, which you can argue for it definitely. I think that there's a fair assessment that, sometimes, especially, in film, I think it's actually not that bad. In
yep,
the games industry, it is definitely a lot worse when you hear these cries of like, we need more original content, stop rebooting game series, stop making more versions of a game.
sure,
But I think it comes down to the way that we tell stories historically, like as people, as human beings. How do we share stories?
hmm,
And there's a lot of, obviously there's tons of written and oral history. And when you get down to it, for instance, like folk tales,
yeah,
there's so many different versions of just simple ones, but nobody really seems to be arguing, like, like that was terrible. Like, why are there so many of these? We don't need another one. Like, for instance, like the Grimm brothers, their fairy tale versions versus, say, when Walt Disney puts out Snow White and the Seven Dwarves.
hmm,
It's a folk tale. People know it, but I
yeah,
don't think anybody's attacking Walt Disney for taking his own spin on it. You know what I mean?
yeah, no,
Or like Mulan is a Chinese folklore kind of thing. Journey to the West gets a couple of remakes every once in a while. I mean, even hell, like if anybody plays D&D, every single story that your dungeon master is telling you, he ripped it from somewhere else. Like, you're
probably,
taking very hard inspiration from all these things, and even original content is usually rooted in kind of a very similar vein for a lot of things. Sometimes you do get truly unique things, right?
yeah,
But I don't know. Like, there's just something about the way that we tell stories that people putting their own spin on things or taking major sections of other people's work, like Star Trek, and kind of like retelling it in a different way. Star Trek obviously takes the general concepts and goes in a completely different direction for the first and third films. It's only the
right. I love the
second.
Star Trek reboots, like the newer ones,
Yeah,
the J.J. Abrams ones,
yeah, I
like
agree. It's the second one that I think takes the most like direct inspiration when they redo Wrath of Khan.
sure,
But even that, like, I think, like, it's a story that I genuinely believe somebody would tell.
yeah,
Like, it's interesting, and it's just the way that it's like I mean, there's so many fucking movies out there where it's like, oh, here's the bad guy's perspective this time, or like Hoodwinked, which is like, a retelling of the thing, but like the bunny's evil. It's whatever.
yeah,
Like, there's a lot of room, and I don't think reboots are that bad. I think it's just an inherent part of the way that humans communicate their stories to each other.
sure,
And the Star Trek movies are also, they're really fucking sick.
they're good, they're good.
Star Trek Beyond is on Amazon Prime for free, and I think most of the other Star Trek movies are actually on there too. I really want to watch Beyond again. Really excited to get back to that.
Definitely.
Um,
How do you feel about some of these like soft reboots, I guess you could say? Like Mad Max Fury Road is on this list that we have in front of us.
yeah,
Now, it's considered a reboot, but realistically, it's not really a reboot. It's a soft reboot. It's like it's kind of in the future, but kind of not. Like the soft reboot is like blurring the line. It's a sequel, but it's also not a sequel. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, soft reboots, I even give less of a crap about.
I kind of like that because I feel like it's a way to move forward without having to completely tie up your loose ends. You
Yeah,
know,
well, that's what I mean. Like, I really have like zero problem with them. I think that a soft reboot isn't even a reboot. It's more just like, all right, now we're gonna do this.
right?
You know, it's just a continuation. Like to me, when James Bond, James Bond's never, in my personal opinion, hard rebooted. Like
No,
it's always, all right, like here's James Bond. Nothing has changed really. We're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna keep
yeah.
doing James Bondy bullshit.
I
Uh,
think I think the Hellboy movie from 2019 could have benefited from that because
mhm.
it's crazy because of course the first two movies are made by Guillermo del Toro,
Yeah.
who uh, I feel like I want to say he peaked after he made the Hellboy movies.
Hmm.
Um, Not to say that he's out of his peak or like he's not as good. He's great. He's huge now.
Yeah.
So when it was time to make the third movie, it never materialized. He was working on other things, understandably so. Um, but I feel like there was a big fan base for the Hellboy movies, and they really clamored for the third one, and it never happened. And then they finally just said, "We're rebooting it. We're putting David Harbour in there."
Hmm.
Uh, and I feel like if they just kind of said, "You know what? We'll put David Harbour in it, but it'll be a continuation." Even though I think, of course, I can't remember the name of the original actor's name now, but
Gruff and tumble.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he wanted to do it. I think he was like down to do it, but even so, like I think that could have benefited that movie more than you know going with a new take, which at the same time I can't really blame them for going with a new take
Yeah. It
because
was
why not?
Ron
It's
Perlman, by the way.
hmm?
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman, yes, thank you.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, like I can't blame them for going with a new take because it was like 10 years after the second one, so it's like of course. But I don't know. Um, I agree with you. I think I don't really necessarily care about the soft reboot, but I think it's a bit smoother of a way to move forward. Um, I guess
Yeah.
when I think about it, like the Flash movie that they're making or that they're working on right now in DC,
Yeah. Soft
that's good.
reboot.
That's supposedly supposed to be a soft reboot. That's good because this universe that they're in right now seems it's off the rails. Uh,
Hmm.
Unless Zack Snyder plans to pick up the fumbled ball in a month, then I don't see it getting back on the rails. So it's justified, and I'd
Yeah.
rather not start completely over. So
Yeah, I agree. I think that if you can salvage it in any way, or you can like move it in a direction that maintains the integrity of the original content in a way that people who have seen it can be like, all right, it's going to continue to pay off as we move forward because I saw this original content. Not like it almost keeps it alive longer with a soft reboot
yeah,
because you feel more engaged. And we'll definitely see going forward. I feel like the hard reboots, if you really, really botched it. Which honestly, we'll see what happens with the Flash because I feel like they're making wild decisions over there and they're having lots of problems making the Flash.
it's getting pretty crazy.
So it could be they might need the hard reboot after the soft reboot.
We'll see. We'll see what they if it even gets finished. I feel like the Flash is in development hell in a
Yeah,
bit
I
of a.
agree.
But who knows? They're
I
casting
mean,
people, so
yeah, honestly, when I saw that, we didn't talk about it in the episode, but they did recently cast Supergirl,
yeah,
and the casting's good. Like I forget the name of the actress, but totally cool decisions going on over there. Like it's good casting. But on the flip side of that, why Supergirl in it now? Like why are we introducing new characters
yeah,
in a franchise that needs fixing? It doesn't need characters.
yeah.
Like
It needs to build on the characters it already has.
and also Flashpoint already has too many fucking characters. Like you're telling me Wonder Woman's in this, you're telling me, fucking what's his name? Batman?
Both Batman. Well, Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, thank you. Yeah, like we're talking
Apparently,
two
Batgirl's gonna
Batmans.
be in it.
Wonder Woman's supposed to fucking show up, I think. Like we gotta slow down.
It's just a lot. They're trying to cram a lot in, and I think that's part of their problem, and I think that's also, getting back to the topic, it kind of that's some of the problems with some of these reboots. It's like you're trying to fit too much in.
Mm.
It's like, what are your basic points you need to hit? What are the rings we need to fly through here to beat this level? You know,
Mm.
that's kind of how I see it, I guess. But I
Yeah.
don't know. It's it's crazy. It's crazy Hollywood talk.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, I'm looking at this list. How many times has Godzilla been rebooted? Too many times.
Very too many times.
But he just keeps coming, and now he's fighting Monkey.
Hmm.
You know, big Monkey.
Big excite.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's crazy how long Godzilla has been around and like been rebooted so many times, and now
Mhm.
we're in like the modern version of Godzilla, and he's getting a big crossover fight. Like, and we're still excited. We're still about it. People are still gonna go see that movie and say, "I love Godzilla." I actually have a friend from film school who was telling me about his favorite Godzilla movie from like way back in the day, from like the 70s or like the 80s or something. And I was like, I've never seen any of the old Godzilla movies, and I
Yeah.
can't believe that you put yourself through such a thing. But it's like one of his favorite movies, and like he loves all the Godzilla stuff all the time. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a rich universe out there of Godzilla monster movies.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that pretty much wraps up the topic, unless you had any other reboot noteworthy movies to bring up.
No, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for the reboots coming out. I'm excited for the Blade reboot.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited
Um,
for the fucking Blade reboot.
a lot
Holy
of
shit.
reboots on this list are actually really enjoyable.
They are.
Uh,
They definitely are. I think when we see it, it's like a when they get announced, it's like a 50-50. Like, all right, this is gonna go great or it's gonna be bad.
hmm.
Um, but I think there's always excitement behind it. There's
Yeah,
always excitement about revisiting something good, because bad things don't get rebooted.
yeah, I
Huh.
agree. It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Look at that.
Truer words have never been spoken on
Hmm.
this podcast.
Except for Monkey beat Godzilla.
Yes, I I stand corrected.
No cap. I'll put money down. I think King Kong's gonna beat the fuck out of Godzilla.
With a stick, with a
Yeah,
billy club.
he's gonna whack him with the
An
pickaxe of destiny or whatever the fuck.
ancient pickaxe for monkey
Hmm.
will beat nuclear bomb. But but anyway, that pretty much wraps up our reboot topic for this
Hmm.
week. Um, for next week, this is a little bit of its own kind of segment, I guess. But
Yeah.
John and I have been talking about the format of the podcast and Cinema Scrutiny as a whole, as a brand. Um, and this kind of came to fruition last week with our episode about Space Sweepers, which uh, our views kind of went up a little bit. We got a lot more views than we normally do, so we got more viewership. And if you're here from last week, or if you stuck around and you're interested in our content, then we thank you for being around, because we do this for fun, but we also do it, um, you know, just to entertain people, and share our thoughts. But we've been talking about reforming the podcast a bit, just to be a little bit more accessible to people, um, have a little bit more shorter form, digestible stuff where you don't have to sit down for, you know, an hour to an hour and a half long podcast, and you can just hear us talk about certain topics. So we're in the process of developing that right now. We want to bring you guys, basically, we want to bring you guys some shorter form content.
Some more
Um,
YouTube friendly content.
Yeah, because the podcast, it's fun, and I still enjoy this format, but I agree, and I think that you know YouTube is geared more towards a certain algorithm of shorter form videos, like 10, 15, 20 minutes type of thing. And I think we can definitely do that with like our discussion topics, or some of the news topics that come out. They can snowball into larger discussions within videos. Um, so this is what we kind of want to start developing. And of course, we want to get your feedback, which you guys can always talk to us in the comments. You can send us an email, which is linked in the description. we want to know what you guys think. Do you like this longer podcast? Hour long content, or would you guys prefer more of tidbits of what we're talking about and just like a straight discussion, video topic, and then we put out maybe like 2 to 3 of those a week. Who knows?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean that's what we wanted to bring you guys. That's what we're working on for next week. So I guess you'll see with our next post after this post what it'll be.
Yeah, because
But
we don't know yet.
we're not entirely sure yet.
Yeah, but we're definitely
But
going
we
to be
definitely want to.
experimenting.
Yes, we definitely want to hear your thoughts. So please let us know. I know a lot of our friends watch this and listen to us, so you guys can always reach out to us personally as well. Um, but that pretty much wraps it up this week. Um, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. As always, I'm your host, Billy, John. And yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time.